Quick disclaimer before watching the actual video, I absolutely butcher everyone's name in this review. When I say Prince Faisal's name wrong, it is not intentional and not a joke. I don't know why I say it like that, but I do. Anyway, on to the actual video. Lawrence of Arabia was released on December 16, 1962. It was a controversial release, despite that fact it made around $70 million and only cost $15 million to make. The movie is currently banned in most Arabian countries, including Jordan, where most of the movie was filmed. The only one to not ban it is Egypt, because the president of the country at the time enjoyed seeing Arabian nationalism on screen, and when the movie was released in Egypt, it broke all records. But why is the film so controversial? For one, there are no women with a speaking role in the movie, despite the fact that Lawrence worked very closely with a female spy. The film also depicts Arabians more as tribes instead of a fully formed and uniformed fighting force. The movie depicts them fighting each other more than the Ottomans, when really they were a threat to the Ottoman Empire long before Lawrence arrived. There is also a question of the film's accuracy. It may claim to be fully historical, but so does Bohemian Rhapsody. The film is true to the word of one direct source, and that's Lawrence's own written word. He made a book after his service called The 7 Pillars of Wisdom that goes over the events of the First World War. And while most of it is undeniable fact, some of the contents that depict Lawrence as a hero warrior god of Arabia are disputed by historians till this day. But it is undeniable that Lawrence was instrumental in disrupting the Ottoman supply lines, and some even say instrumental to the English war effort, as photos of him increased men willing to be drafted. But it's also undeniable that Lawrence wanted fame, and he got it through the newspapers of 1918 and even till this day. Like when he appeared in the video game Battlefield 1, and he even has his own song called The 7 Pillars of Wisdom by the band called Sabaton. He is undoubtedly one of the most famous soldiers to have ever lived, but he's also a very complex and sometimes even disturbing person. And Lawrence of Arabia, the film, attempts to show all sides of Lawrence in its 3 hours and 42-minute runtime. Speaking of the movie, we'll be going over and analyzing the more important scenes of the film, beginning with Lawrence's funeral. An obviously important scene that shows how polarizing Lawrence was. One man begins belittling him, and one calls him a hero.
Ordinary man I ever knew.
Did you know him well?
I knew him.
Well, nil nisi bonum. But did he really deserve a place in here?
Lord Allenby, could you give me a few words about Colonel Lawrence?
What, more words? The revolt in the desert played a decisive part in the Middle Eastern campaign.
Yes, sir, but about Colonel Lawrence himself.
No, I didn't know him well, you know.
Mr. Bentley, you must know as much about Colonel Lawrence as anybody does.
Yes, it was my privilege to know him and to make him known to the world. He was a poet, a scholar, and a mighty warrior.
Thank you.
He was also the most shameless exhibitionist since Barnum and Bailey.
You, sir, who are you?
My name is Jackson Bentley.
Ah. Well, whoever you are, I overheard your last remark, and I take the gravest possible exception. He was a very great man.
Did you know him?
No, sir, I can't claim to have known him. I once had the honor to shake his hand in Damascus.
Knew him? No, I never knew
It
him.
was revealed that Lawrence died in a car accident back in England in 1935. It then cuts to a scene showing Lawrence in Cairo, Egypt, making maps. It's here we see Lawrence first describe and demonstrate the concept of mind over matter by putting out the match with his bare fingers. When Lawrence is asked how he did this trick, he simply says he just doesn't mind the pain.
You do that once too often. It's only flesh and blood.
Michael George Hartley. You're a philosopher.
And you're balmy. Oh! It damn well hurts.
Certainly it hurts.
Well, what's the trick then?
The trick, William Potter, is not minding that it hurts.
This shows Lawrence's mind forcing his body to simply deal with pain, a philosophy he attempts to keep throughout the whole film. And if you really want to start getting into the movie, you could say that the match represents the desert itself. To most, hot to the touch, but to Lawrence it's another thing to master and challenge him. Lawrence is then sent off to Arabia with a guide, who he forms a close bond with, even giving the man his service pistol as a gift.
Truly now, you are a British officer?
Yes.
From Cairo?
Yes.
You did not ride from Cairo?
No. Thank heaven. It's 900 miles. I came by boat.
And before? From Britain?
Yes.
Truly?
From Oxfordshire.
Is that a desert country?
No. A fat country. Fat people.
You are not fat?
No. I'm different. Here. Take it.
First, I take you to Lord Faisal, then you give it to me.
Take it now.
But when they reach a well and attempt to drink from it, they see a man in the distance coming towards them. The guide begins to panic and runs for the gun Lawrence gave him, raising it to the man before being gunned down by him. Lawrence is shocked by this and shows a very important character trait, and that is he despises killing, especially senseless killing, like this one. He begins to protest the man, even asking him to kill him too for drinking from the well, but the man, whose name's Sheriff Ali, refuses to kill him, saying he is welcome to drink, and even offers to take up being his guide. But Lawrence refuses, saying none of my friends are murderers, an important line that will come back later. It also shows how much Lawrence hates killing. To ride off in the desert alone without a guide is essentially a death sentence, especially when you've never been there before. But nevertheless, he arrives at his destination, beating the desert and joining a fellow British officer in advising Prince Faisal.
Who is he? Tavas!
He is dead.
Yes. Why?
This is my well.
I have drunk from it.
You are welcome.
He was my friend.
That?
Yes, that.
This pistol yours?
No, his.
His?
Mine.
Then I will use it. Your friend was a Hazmi of the Beni Salim.
I know.
I am Ali ibn al-Kharish.
I've heard of you.
So, what was a Hazmi doing here?
He was taking me to help Prince Faisal.
You have been sent from Cairo.
Yes.
I have been in Cairo for my schooling. I can both read and write. My Lord Faisal already has an Englishman.
Yes.
What is your name?
My name is for my friends. None of my friends is a murderer.
You are angry, English. He was nothing. The well is everything. The Hazimi may not drink at our wells. He knew that. Salam. Hut, hut, hut.
Sheriff Ali, so long as the Arabs fight tribe against tribe, so long will they be a little people, a silly people, greedy, barbarous, and cruel, as you are.
The next important scene is Lawrence suggesting a daring plan to cross the Nasu Desert, also called the Devil's Anvil, the hottest place in the desert, known for killing men who stumble into it or get lost inside of its hundreds of miles long, with no landmarks in it. It is also a place deemed uncrossable to the Arabs, and yet Lawrence crosses it with his group. The true test of the anvil comes when they realize that one of their companions somehow got lost in the anvil. While the others claim he's already dead, Lawrence goes back in to try to find him, pretty much signing his own death sentence. And yet he persists and finds the man and leads him back to the group. A feat that earns Lawrence the respect of his companions, and it reinforces Lawrence's ideal that the desert can be tamed and mastered like everything else he's encountered in this world.
Lawrence! Don't!
It also shows a crucial side of Lawrence, that mercy is a passion. There's nothing more he loves than redeeming and saving others. An ideal that will soon be tested and broken, because when they set up for camp for the night, a dispute breaks out between rival Arabian tribes. A man has killed another, and to stop the two tribes from splitting and abandoning the attack on the port city, Lawrence agrees to mediate and execute the murderer. To his shock and horror, it is revealed that the man he saved in the Devil's Anvil is the murderer. and as Lawrence pulls the trigger on his service revolver, his hands tremble. The desert has won this battle, and it begins the descent of Lawrence.
He killed, he dies.
This is the end of Aqaba.
One of our men murdered one of Alder's men. Why? Theft, blood feud, it makes no matter why.
Ali!
It is an ancient wound.
I didn't come here to watch a tribal bloodbath.
It is the law, Lawrence.
The law says the man must die. If he dies, will that content the Howitats?
Yes?
Sheriff Ali, if none of Lord Auder's men harms any of yours, will that content the Harith?
Yes?
Then I will execute the law. I have no tribe. And no one is offended. Cassie. Did you do it?
Well, Lawrence. What ails the Englishman?
That he killed was the man he brought out of the Nefud.
It was written then.
He's no longer this golden boy soldier who won't kill. The desert is beginning to change him as they both test each other to their breaking points, but we don't know how much this event shapes Lawrence until later in the film, when talking to a British general in Cairo about a man he had to kill and how it felt different to him.
Yes, I know.
Already?
Yes.
I'm promoting you major.
I don't think that's a very good idea.
I didn't ask you. I want you to go back and carry on the good work.
No. Thank you, sir.
Why not?
Well, let me see. I killed 2 people. I mean, 2 Arabs. One was a boy. That was yesterday. I led him into a quicksand. The other was a man. That was before Aqaba, anyway. I had to execute him with my pistol. There was something about it I didn't like.
Well, naturally.
No, something else.
I see. Well, that's all right. Let it be a warning.
No, something else.
What then?
I enjoyed it.
Rubbish. Rubbish your nerves. You're tired.
Lawrence has begun to change and question his identity from Lawrence to Lawrence of Arabia. His identity and morals are bending to the desert. The man who wouldn't kill has become the executioner. He has become unrecognizable to his British comrades, and he has reached his peak for the movie. From now on, he will begin to suffer defeats to his body and character from the desert. The second half of the movie begins with a reporter meeting with Prince Farash, trying to find a hero to use as propaganda, and to show a different, funner side of the war, as Bentley puts it. Bentley the reporter begins to push Lawrence as a hero and begins branding him as Lawrence of Arabia, pushing him more and more into that identity. Whenever Bentley is present, Lawrence is triumphant, always conquering and showing the fun, adventurous side of war he wanted. As Lawrence begins his campaign on the Ottoman rails, Lawrence becomes an immortal figure on news and in life, shown by a wounded Turk attempting to shoot him. Lawrence also believes himself an immortal miracle worker of the desert, and this idea will lead him to come up with the plan to infiltrate a Turkish-controlled city with only a small handful of soldiers against an entire garrison, a suicide mission, but he believes he's done the impossible before and can again.
Arabs!
Jiminy. Never seen a man killed with a sword before.
Why don't you take a picture?
Wish I had.
He's now completely out of it. He's no longer arrogant but prepared like he was crossing the Devil's Anvil. Now he completely believes he can do anything, and he even thinks he can pass as an Arabian. He's that far disconnected from his mind and body, but the body is about to be broken as he's captured by the Turkish and brutally tortured, and there are even sexual implications as the desert reminds him he is flesh and blood, and Lawrence's illusion is broken as his flesh now decides his fate and not his mind as it did in the beginning of the movie.
To know what can be done. If we'd done what you thought could be done, we'd be back in Yenbo now and nowhere. Whatever I ask them to do can be done, that's all. They know that if you don't. Do you think I'm just anybody, Ali? Do you? My friends, who will walk on water with me? Who will come with me into Dera?
Dera is garrisoned. Will you take 20 against 2,000?
I'll go by myself if I have to.
Why?
Because I told the English generals the Arab revolt would be in Dera when they would be in Jerusalem.
Or perhaps you are here for the English generals.
Who says this?
Rumor.
That is not an argument.
Oh, argument. This afternoon, I will take the Arab revolt into Dera, while the Arabs argue.
Lawrence, can you pass for an Arab in an Arab town?
Yes, if one of you would lend me some dirty clothes.
Madness. What are you looking for?
Some way to announce myself.
Be patient with him, God. Do you not see how they look at you? Come!
Peace, Ali. I am invisible.
Halt!
Walk on.
Halt!
Walk on.
You!
And you.
time now. امشي. يلا! Yo.
He is no longer immune or immortal to pain, as the Turks began to torture and break Lawrence. As Lawrence said in his book, I was feeling very ill, as though some part of me had gone dead that night in Dura, leaving me maimed, imperfect, only half myself. His spirit is now broken, and the desert has destroyed this mortal man, disturbing him so much that he wants to go back to Cairo, despite all he has done.
Sleep. Sleep. Eat. Eat. You have a body like other men. Good. Then sleep. Better?
Much better. You were right.
Rest, rest. Can you not learn?
Oh, I've learned, all right. I'm going, Ali.
Why?
Why? Heavens.
Why?
I've come to the end of myself, I suppose.
And the end of the Arab revolt?
I'm not the Arab revolt, Ali. I'm not even an Arab.
A man can be whatever he wants. You said.
I'm sorry. I thought it was true.
You proved it.
Look, Ali. Look. That's me. What color is it? That's me. And there's nothing I can do about it.
A man can do whatever he wants. You said.
He can. But he can't want what he wants. This is the stuff that decides what he wants. You may as well know. I would have told them anything. I would have told them who I am. I would have told them where you were. I tried to.
So would any man.
Well, any man is what I am. And I'm going back to Allenby to ask him for a job that any man can do.
Allenby's in Jerusalem.
I'll make easy stages.
You?
Oh, yes. Easy stages. Look, Ali. I think I see a way of being just ordinarily happy. And I take this.
It is not clean.
No. But it's warm.
And these, having led them here, have you no care for them?
You lead them. They're yours. Trust your own people. and let me go back to mine.
He does end up returning to Cairo in a British uniform, changing out of his Arabian clothing. Lawrence there learns of the betrayal going on in England and France. The after-war plan has changed from Arabian freedom to British-French occupation under the Sykes-Picot Agreement. The background of this scene also shows the bust of great Roman conquerors of the past, and as the beginning shows, Lawrence will get a bust of his own as a conqueror.
Picot is a French civil servant. Mr. Sykes and Mr. Picot met, and they agreed that after the war, France and England should share the Turkish Empire, including Arabia. They signed an agreement. Not a treaty, sir. An agreement to that effect.
There may be honor among thieves, but there's none in politicians.
And let's have no displays of indignation. You may not have known, but you certainly had suspicions. If we've told lies, you've told half-lies. And a man who tells lies, like me, merely hides the truth. But a man who tells half-lies has forgotten where he put it.
The truth is I'm an ordinary man. You might have told me that, Dryden. And I want an ordinary job, sir. That's my reason for resigning. It's personal.
Personal?
Yes, sir.
Personal? You're a serving officer in the field, and as it happens, I don't...
And as Lawrence the Conqueror hears of their plans, his scars begin to reopen and bleed. As this plan disturbs Lawrence so much, he is forced to go back to the desert, thinking if he captures the city of Damascus and sets up an Arabian council, he can force Britain to give them independence. He comes up with this plan while there is a painting of a fallen god behind him, and while it may seem like a god of war cast off of his chariot, it is actually Pantheon, being strucken down by Zeus whilst he lost control of his father's sun chariot. Pantheon got too close to Earth and, according to Greek mythology, created the desert.
Lawrence?
Yes?
Nothing. Sorry I interrupted, sir.
Well, that's quite all right. Thank you, Mr. Dryden.
Thank you, sir.
But why? Don't breathe. There's blood on your back. Do you want a doctor?
No.
Tell me what happened. I believe your name will be a household word when you would have to go to the War Museum to find who Allaby was. You're the most extraordinary man I ever met.
Leave me alone.
What?
Leave me alone.
Well, that's a feeble thing to say.
I know I'm not ordinary.
That's not what I'm saying.
All right. I'm extraordinary. What of it?
Not many people have a destiny, Lawrence. It's a terrible thing for a man to flunk it if he has.
Are you speaking from experience?
No.
You're guessing then. Suppose you're wrong.
Why suppose that? We both know I'm right.
Yes.
After all...
I said yes. The 16th.
Can you do it? I'll give you a lot of money.
Artillery.
I can't.
They won't be coming for money, not the best of them. They'll be coming for Damascus, which I'm going to give them.
That's all I want.
All you want is someone holding down the Turkish right. But I'm going to give them Damascus. We'll get there before you do. And when we've got it, we'll keep it. You can tell the politicians to burn their bit of paper now.
Fair enough.
Fair? What's fair got to do with it? It's going to happen. I shall want quite a lot of money.
All there is?
Not that much. The best of them won't come for money. They'll come for me.
When Lawrence gets back, he's a new man. Despite putting back on his robes, he's not the same Lawrence he was before. His friends are now murderers. The Turks and English have broken his mind and body. He acts like a distant god, holding his head high, and he no longer reacts as Jerusalem is shelled by the British. And he shows no mercy to the Turkish. He now has a bodyguard to protect his flesh.
Changed, hasn't he?
No.
Oh, I'd say he had.
Different man, I'd say. What did that Turkish general do to him in Dara?
He was the same man after Dera. The same man. Humbled. What did the English general do to him in Jerusalem?
Search me. Ask Orange.
I did.
What'd he say?
He laughed. He told me to gather the Harith here. He offered me money.
Did you take it?
No. Many did. What is this?
This is my bodyguard.
There's not a man there without a price on his head.
There's a price on my head, too.
But these are murderers. You know, the sheikhs will hang these men.
These men are mine.
Orans, these things know nothing of the Arab revolt. You, Kitan of Aleppo.
Sharif?
Where do we ride?
Damascus, Sharif.
Aye, but for what?
Sharif? For Orens.
You have bought these things.
I bought half the men here, Ali.
That is different. These are not ordinary men.
I don't want ordinary men.
And as he comes across the Turkish army fleeing after burning and butchering a city, and he must choose to either pursue them or pass to Damascus and continue the progress of the Arab revolt, instead of granting them mercy, something he used to do religiously, and instead of listening to his advisor and friend, Sharif Ali, he charges his men and slaughters the Turkish without mercy or compassion. Lawrence's pleasure in killing, born out of necessity in the camp, has bore fruit, and no Turkish man is spared. Mercy is no longer a passion, and murder no longer a horror. He has given in to the desert, and to the pure animalistic joy of killing. He has become Lawrence the Conqueror. As Lawrence says in his book, "By my orders we took no prisoners. For the first time in the war there lay upon us a madness born of the horrors of Tafas, or of its story, and so we killed and killed, even blowing in the head of the fallen and the animals, as though their death and running blood could slake the agony in our brains. This was one of the nights in which mankind went crazy, when death seemed impossible, however many died to the right and left, and when others' lives just seemed like toys to break and throw away."
Lawrence!
Lawrence! Enough! Enough! Make them stop!
After the dust has settled and the fires are burned out, Ali finds Lawrence leaning against a wagon, staring into his bloodied knife, looking at his reflection horrified, realizing he is now a different man, and perhaps even a worse man. As Bentley comes to the scene, he takes his last photo, killing the ideal Lawrence of Arabia, and showing the true horrors of war, and the horrors of man itself, as Lawrence is just a mortal man who committed this massacre.
Major! Major Lawrence!
Jesus wept. Jesus wept.
Does it surprise you, Mr. Bentley? Surely you know the Arabs are a barbarous people. Barbarous and cruel. Who but they? Who but they?
Oh, you rotten man. Here, let me take your rotten, bloody picture. For the rotten, bloody newspapers.
Now the ideal Lawrence only exists in newspapers, not in himself. The Lawrence that is left is feeble. He can no longer work the miracles he once could. And as he arrives to Damascus to try and keep the Arab revolt alive and give them independence, he is unable to work the English generators and water pumps, or to keep the Arabs from fighting one another. He is forced to watch all he had fought and suffered for fall apart as the British take back control of the city.
We here are neither Harith nor Hawaitat, nor any other tribe but Arabs. Of the Arab Council, acting for Prince Faisal.
He insulted me.
Sheriff Ali said that the telephones were in the care of the Hawaitat, and that the telephones had ceased to work, and this is true, Elder.
They will not work because they are given no electricity. The electricity is in the care of the Harith.
If you answer, there'll be bloodshed.
You speak to me of bloodshed.
I ask pardon of Oda Butai.
Humbly. Humbly, Harith.
Yes, humbly.
This is a new trick.
Why is there no electricity?
I have been to that electrical house, Sorens. There are 3 large machines.
He means generators.
So, one of them is burned. They are of an incredible size, but helpless.
It is so of all machines.
Let them burn. What need of telephones?
The need is absolute.
Then we need the English engineers.
No!
take English engineers and you take English government. Take...
Fire has broken out.
Where?
Nijinshibi district.
It is not a district that matters.
It will spread.
Then in God's name, use the fire brigade!
We have tried our ends, but there is no force in the water.
Then you must carry it.
The Ruella do not carry water.
What else are they good for?
Lawrence now wants nothing more than to leave. He no longer thinks the desert is fun or tameable as he did in the beginning. He realizes he's another victim of it, twisted by its rules and laws. But his prayer to leave is responded to by Otta saying,
Leave it, Lawrence. Come with me.
Come where?
Back. I know your heart. What is it? Is it this? I tell you, this is nothing. Is it the blood? The desert has dried up more blood than you could think of.
I pray that I may never see the desert again. Hear me, God.
You will come. There is only the desert for you.
He is consumed by the desert. He is no longer Lawrence of England or of Arabia, and he is no conqueror. He is left without an identity, forever an outsider wherever he is. He does eventually go home to England, but it is not as triumphant a moment as you may think. Since he belongs to no one, he doesn't even seem to know what the word home means.
Well, sir, going home. Home, sir.
All in all, Lawrence of Arabia is a fantastically deceptive film, tricking the audience into thinking it's an action epic, when really it's the tragedy of the conqueror shown on screen. We watch Lawrence make more and more brutal decisions throughout the film, leaving you wondering if he was truly the good guy. And I have no idea how that you haven't seen it yet, Mr. Yee. I don't know what film classes you took in college, but how in HE double hockey sticks did they not make you watch this? The editing, acting, cinematography, the mise-en-scène, if you want to get fancy with it, it's all perfect. I mean, come on. Do I need to show the massacre scene again to get you to watch it? I mean, look at the face acting, man. If you don't watch it after watching this hour-long review, then I have truly failed this project, and I will take my E. Thank you for watching. Also, all the credit and citations are in the description. Watch this movie. Come on.